Alrighty. So now the media has pretty much projected Trump to be the winner. Um, Even if Kamala Harris got these last four states, it would be slightly under the margin anyway. So, Donald Trump has won. In terms of the media, he's been projected to win the race. Now, there's still going to be some counting remaining, and you never know. There might be some contesting that goes on, but for all intents and purposes, we could say that the media has projected him to be the winner, and that's good enough to get to the next part. It's good enough to have a projection, and then you can wait for the rest of the votes, and then you can go around and see if there's any reports of irregularities. By the way, this episode is called "There's Some Shit," aka rigged. Was it rigged? Now, Donald Trump has stated since in every election cycle that the election has been rigged against him. He has said that. Now, he said it in 2016. He made claims of rigged election of a rigged system before winning the presidency, suggesting that there was a potential fraud if he lost. 2020 election, after losing to Joe Biden, Trump frequently asserted without evidence that the election was stolen or rigged due to widespread fraud. This narrative became a central theme in his speeches, interviews, and rallies. Now, next time, as soon as the 2024 election approached, just weeks ago, Trump continued to promote the claims of a rigged election system, especially in the context to involving legal challenges and ongoing campaign rhetoric. Yes, um, the exact instances of how many times Trump has said that the election 2016, the election 2021, and the election in 2024 was rigged. The amount of times people don't know, that's how many. It's in the hundreds of times, right? So the question remains, how do you know if your own candidate said that the elections are rigged in 2016, in 2020, in 2020, and in 2024, all three times? If the person who was claimed to win this time has said that all the elections are rigged, then why would you believe him if you voted for him? Why would you believe? Why would you believe that Trump won this election if he himself said this election was rigged, if he himself said 2024 was rigged, if he himself said 2016 election was rigged, all three, why would you believe him that he won this election? Why wouldn't you believe that it's rigged? I'm just curious about what the answer to that is. And I'm going to be up here for half an hour and I'm going to wait to see if I get any answers on that. And I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Anybody can hop up and let me know how you feel about that. And I'm going to write this question in the chat also. Here we go. If Trump said 2016 election, 2020 election, and 2024 elections were all rigged, then why do you believe he won this election? Oh my goodness, I had to say this, yo. Yeah, look at this. If Trump said 2016 election, 2020 election, and 2024 elections were all rigged, then why do you believe he won this election? Yes. What's the word for the day? I'm also disappointed, but then again, they still got to count votes, huh? I'm astonished though. I'm not disappointed yet because I don't fully know if it wasn't rigged, like Trump said. I mean, let's play devil's advocate. Trump said this election was rigged. If he knows what he's talking about, then maybe it was. Trump, I mean, should maybe it should be looked into, but I'm disappointed that so many people, this election should be nowhere close. So if it's not rigged, great. But Trump himself said this election right here in 2024 was rigged. Trump himself said the election in 2020 was rigged. And Trump himself said the election in 2016 was rigged. Trump has said over, I don't know how many times, it's impossible to count. He has said all three of these elections were rigged. He himself, he won two of them and he said it was rigged. I mean, so what are people supposed to get out of this? Like, should we just, should the new thing be like the election's rigged, the next election? Should the Democrats start saying that the elections are rigged anytime they lose an election? Is that what they should say? Um, well, here we have a person who won the election that said it's rigged, and that's the second time apparently Trump has said it's rigged against him, and he won. So, folks, what does that mean? What does that really mean in reality? Oh, did I drop the link? Let me drop the link. Maybe you want to hop up. What's the word? Um, Let me know what's going on, because the man who won said the election was rigged. I'm curious about that. I mean, was the election rigged? You know, uh, is Trump right when he says the election was rigged? Um, what what reason would you have to not believe Trump if he said the election was rigged? If you voted for him, why would you not believe his words? I'm curious about that. I really want to know. I don't think I'd never thought before that maybe the elections could be rigged, but Trump has said it three different elections. So is there something to it, or is it all bullshit? Um, I don't know. The both can't exist at the same time. It can't be something to it and it's all bullshit at the same time. So is there something to what Trump is saying, or is there nothing to that at all? Um, yeah, I'm just curious about that. I think if there was rigging going on, I think it's from Trump. I think it's from the people that project the rigging and that have been involved in rigging, by the way, because people have, you know, Rudy Giuliani made up lies and he's been ordered to pay something close to $200 million for the lies that he did about the election. Fox News lost a $700 million settlement to the money to the vote counting machine. I forget Dominion. I think it's called Dominion. Um, and they counted, and they won a civil case to him. The judgment, they wanted $1 billion, and Giuliani. I mean, no, the I forget who sued him exactly, but they settled for out of court for 700 million. Dominion did. They settled that case with Fox, right? So Fox, they settled with them and gave them 700 million for spreading lies about the election machines. But maybe the elections were rigged. Maybe they're rigged this time. I mean, it's Trump saying that they're rigged. Trump said all these elections were rigged. Giuliani said the last one was rigged. Anything of truth to any of those things that they say? I don't think you're going to get a lot of feedback on this one particular point because something is very, very odd about electing a person. A person takes office and he himself said that the very election he took in was rigged. Every election he partakes in, he says is rigged. I mean, this is the oddest thing. I don't think there's another country that's ever gone through this. I don't even think Russia went through this. Um, you know, I don't think China's gone through something like this where the person running for office says that it's rigged and they're the person that keeps winning. You know, it's the strangest thing. It's the strangest thing. So, do you believe the person who won the election this time around? And I'm curious about MAGA folk. Do you believe Donald Trump when he says the election was rigged? Or do you think that he would just lie to do whatever he have to do to get in office? Um, I don't know, but I just find it very peculiar. Let me see. Now let me go to playing this. Here we go, y'all. Let's
Donald Trump, once again elected to the White House. Leaders around the world congratulating him on his historic comeback. But there is one leader who apparently has no plans to congratulate him. Russia's Vladimir Putin, according to the Kremlin. CNN's Nick Robertson joins us now with more on this. Nick, good morning. What are we learning?
Yeah, this is coming from Dmitry Peskov, the President Vladimir Putin's spokesperson at the Kremlin, and he says this. When asked the question about why hasn't Vladimir Putin congratulated President-elect Donald Trump, and he said this: "Let's not forget that we're talking about an unfriendly country that is both directly and indirectly involved in a war against our state." So that is the Russian position on that. Now, Peskov was pressed by the journalists on his daily press briefing phone call. Well, isn't this going to put you in a bad and worse position with the United States? Because it's very clear, the implication in the question, that President Trump likes to get these congratulations early. We've heard from the British just earlier today. We've heard from many European leaders earlier today congratulating President-elect Donald Trump. And Peskov's answer was this, and he said, look, the relationship is really bad. How can it get any worse than it is already? And this is clearly a reference to something else that Peskov talked about in that phone call with journalists, saying that the United States is in a position to end the war in Ukraine, where Russia considers itself to be essentially in a war confronted by the United States, involving the United States. So the Kremlin's position on this, I think, gives us a hint about what Donald Trump has spoken about previously, about ending the war in Ukraine in the matter of a day. Russia's position on this is clearly going to be tough. And as Peskov went on to say in this phone conversation, that this issue over Ukraine is not going to be ended quickly. That is clearly going to be a tough road ahead for President-elect Donald Trump.
Indeed, it is. And of course, we're seeing much different reaction from the Ukraine.
Let me hear this one more time.
Essentially in this, and he said, look, the relationship is the implication of talking about an unfriendly country that is both directly and indirectly involved in a war against our state. President.
Now with more on this. But there is one leader who apparently has no plans to congratulate him. Russia's Vladimir Putin, according to the Kremlin. CNN's Nick Robertson joins us now with more on this. Nick, good morning. What are we learning?
Again. Sorry about that. I just missed you.
Yeah, this is coming from Dmitry Peskov, the President Vladimir Putin's spokesperson at the Kremlin, and he says this. When asked the question about why hasn't Vladimir Putin congratulated President-elect Donald Trump, and he said this: let's not forget that we're talking about an unfriendly country that is both directly and indirectly involved in a war.
So he sidestepped the question. So the answer here is to try to get around the obvious that Trump has already made statements about Putin, right? And having conversations with Putin and blah, blah, blah. So obviously they don't want to admit that they already have come to an agreement, which they've spoken publicly about. I mean, again, this is Trump who says himself what his view is of Ukraine and what he would do if he became elected. He said he would stop funding Ukraine and he would end the war in a day. So that's his position. So Vladimir Putin could say he's not going to congratulate him, but he's certainly got to be ecstatic about Trump winning. I mean, at the least, he can't just be like, oh, I don't know, we're going to find this out because Trump is still the president of the state that's coming after me and blah, blah, blah. No, he's the guy who said he wouldn't come after you. right? So, oh, somebody just came up and fell off. Yeah, I don't know who that is, but they're falling off. Tamara. Okay, Tamara, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
How you doing, Tamara?
All right. All right. What's the word?
Uh, well, yeah. What's the word with you? Let me know what you thinking. What's going on?
Oh my God. Like I don't even know where to start. Like I'm so disappointed. And I'm
Yeah.
mainly disappointed in a lot of, African American men that, that I'm around and
Keep going. Tamara, you there? Hold on. Sorry about that. Let me let you back up. 2 seconds. You fell out for a second. You there again? Okay, here. Let me let you back in. There we go. Keep going, sis. I'm listening to you.
yeah, I don't know why I keep falling off.
Uh,
But
yeah. Go ahead. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what? I know she was about to say something raw. Check this out, Tamara. Before you hop back up, make sure the other browsers are closed. Because sometimes this streaming system, I don't know why it does that, becomes so complicated. Oh, here you go again. There you go. Boom. Go ahead.
yeah, most people that I've been around, like they were speaking about how like Biden and Kamala didn't do anything for us,
Yep.
black people personally for 4 years. But
Oh my goodness. She about to drop the bomb too. I hear it already. We're gonna give her a chance. We just wait until she hop back up. All right now.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. I can hear you.
Yeah, they keep knocking me off. I don't know what happened. But yeah, they keep speaking on like how the Biden administration they did nothing for black people. But I feel like this. We're all a whole. There's no such thing as black people should be separated, white people should be separated, Indians should be separated. People should be worrying about of what they're doing for us as a.
She was saying something very pertinent also. Um, but I don't know why it keeps knocking out, man. It depends on who you are. It also depends on what browser you're using. Can you use Chrome? I don't know how you hopping up. If you use Chrome, it's probably easier. I'm not too sure if what kind of browser, but they say for this one, Chrome is probably the best option. But I agree. A lot of as far as some of the black men, or this group, it's not even just black men saying they haven't done anything. It's like some sort of echo chamber of disinformation that keeps repeating. But go ahead, Tamara. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Go ahead. You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead. I was listening to you. I agree. Go ahead.
Hold on, let me cut my Chrome. Let me get on Chrome. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, maybe Chrome was easier. That's true. That's true. Yeah, so Tamara, she's gonna hop back up on Chrome. But I hear those points and I agree with them. And I definitely think people that heard those talking points didn't look into the things carefully themselves. And I agree. If you're gonna say how come they haven't done anything for black people, first of all, you need to know what they tried to do for black people. And you need to know that what they tried to do for black people in black people's name has been held up in the courts. And one of the things they did was for the black farmers. And that's exactly why it got held up in court, because they used the term black and minorities. And white farmers said it's illegal to give funding to one group without giving it to all groups, even though the funds was set aside for previous discrimination Black and minority farmers had received decades of debt that they incurred for not getting loans, that other farmers got. So you see, it's not what people have been saying, that they haven't done anything. Now, they may not have articulated everything that they've done, the Dems, but what has Donald Trump done in the past for blacks, and minorities? What has he done for Black people? Period. Trump. I mean, that's the thing that gets me. You vote for someone who doesn't even mention one thing they're going to do for you, while you're crying to the other party saying you ain't done anything to us, and that party has done more than the person you cried to. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I don't see how it makes any sense whatsoever. But hey, that's how it works. Some people are misinformed about it. Um, if if you try to get something in the name of Black people, right, through past the Supreme Court into act, you could get it to be a law, but the Supreme Court can stop you from implementing it, right? And that's what's happening in the courts right now. Like, that's what happened to the American Rescue Plan, because they used the word Black farmers in it. So that's been held up, and that's in the billions. And this is money that's owed already, but because of how it's worded, they held it up in the Supreme Court. By the way, the Supreme Court does not support any issue regarding rewards for historic discrimination. That historic discrimination could have happened by the state. They don't believe, even when it happens by the state, that the federal government can compensate that. They want that to be on a state level or something, even if the states misappropriated money from the federal government. They're just not backing the stuff up. The Supreme Court is not backing up discrimination cases. Look, don't you think you'd have reparations? When the UN says African Americans should have reparations, African Americans must have reparations. That's what the UN says. That's the international body. How many people have agreed with that? Who agrees with that African Americans should have reparations? Who in the international bodies? Does China agree? Does Russia agree? What other Security Council member agrees with that? So the Supreme Court is not going for reparations for African Americans. And how do you get the Supreme Court? They're appointed by people you vote for. People like Donald Trump. Donald Trump got how many people in the Supreme Court? Let's be real about it. You see? Do you think any of them? Oh, here's Tamara again. Here you go, Tamara. There you go. You back.
Yeah, I'm on Google Chrome now, so hopefully it works.
Yeah, hopefully. Now go ahead. Break down what you were saying.
Yeah, what I was saying was, like, I don't know if, like, a lot of people have, like, retirement accounts. I mean, I know a lot of people does, but if you have a retirement account, you know exactly what Joe Biden did for our country. Because, right. I mean, you knew, like, back then when Trump was president, I mean, of course, Donald Trump, he had a couple of good years because it was Obama's economy.
Right.
So he had a couple of good years that he could just fly through, and by the time he left office, a lot of people retired. A lot of people lost money out of their retirement accounts.
Exactly. Yeah.
I even lost money. I even lost money myself, and then mine's is like my retirement account doubled when Joe Biden got in office.
Okay. Wow. Right, and that's because of that. That's because of the investments that they're in, right? The IRAs and the. Yeah. Right.
Yes. Okay. Plus, a lot of people. I know that a few people that I personally know that when their money has grew too. So what they're going to do if they said if Donald Trump became president, they was going to withdraw their money out of their retirement accounts until he ends his presidency.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's an excellent point that you're raising. But when you're dealing with some people, I guess they're not able to see issues past their face, their nose, and so there's a segment of the population in the U.S. that is just that way, and it's not just Black people; it's loads of white people, as you can see, go for that rhetoric. I mean, they go for different rhetoric, but it's still rhetoric,
Yeah.
like like coming up with schemes that you have to understand are not practical if you try to implement them. What can work, what can't work, and you learn those things through experience, right? Well,
Hmm.
they told they told a whole bunch of people that they're going to go after immigrants. Okay, how practical is it though? And is the turnaround, because the promise is if you get the immigrants out and you drill baby drill, the economy will improve so much that the people who have suffered will no longer suffer.
So my question is, how are they able to entice the voters? Didn't they say they was wasn't that Elon Musk? He said he was going to give out $1 million to each supporter that voted.
Yeah, and the state Pennsylvania said they about to sue him. The district attorney for, and guess what? If they sue him for voter suppression, that is a crime. And if you did it in conjunction with Donald Trump, that's an election crime. So I don't know, of course the media may not be covering that right now, but they're waiting to see how far that goes. If something happens, how quick the DA is, the district attorney is. They made that announcement out of PA, but
Mm.
you never know. You might hear about that in the next couple of days because they did, in fact, go out there and promise to pay people money connected to registering or voting. And
So if they don't pay them, then what's going to happen? That got to be
um,
some type of illegal crime too, correct?
it could go into, yeah, it could be a civil. Right now, I believe it's civil, but it could turn to criminal once you get whatever information you need. If the information leads to criminal intent, then it could be criminal. And it depends on who's looking at it. If it's looked at by the feds, if it's looked at by the state and the feds might have civil cases. They have civil law and they also have criminal law. So as far as I understand it, right? Yeah, you could have a civil case in the federal court.
Hmm.
Exactly, and you could have one in the state court. So, but they have said that about Elon Musk, and I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you so much. And but we're gonna see. I mean, I myself definitely think that there was voter fraud or
I do.
intimidation, voter intimidation this time around, right? I mean,
Yep.
intimidation, it's obvious when you're burning up mailboxes and you're threatening to bomb voting places, that's intimidation. Those things really happen. And no matter who you are as a voter, Donald Trump or not, you are supposed to be highly concerned about that. You see, you're supposed to be utterly against it, right? But
Yep.
you know, so there was intimidation. Even when I opened up the live stream yesterday, somebody came up and was like, "Yeah, but they saying the Ku Klux Klan going to go after women in North Carolina." And then guess what? The feds announced it and said it's Russia saying that. It's Russia spreading that lie. But that is real voter suppression. Even if it's by Russia, even if it's by Elon Musk, it doesn't matter. Even if it's by Trump. So we're going to see if this actually comes up. We haven't heard Kamala Harris make an announcement yet, um, but let's see if right now there's no, unless the counting has gone wrong somewhere, there's no pathway through just the votes without saying that there's voter fraud or voter suppression. That's the only other thing that would slow down something and take it into the courts. But, how far will it go and where will it go to the Supreme Court? And then what will the Supreme Court do with it?
Yeah.
You
That's what
see,
I don't.
so yeah, so I think, but I think one thing that just really pisses me off is how the hell would anybody broke, poor, struggling, worried about their pension, worried about their retirement, worried about keeping a roof over their head, worried about health care. Worried about gas? Why the hell would they vote for a billionaire?
Okay. I'm with you on that one.
I mean, how much more you need to know to know that it's a dumb idea, it's a bad idea, but they gonna do it.
Yeah.
I've never
I
voted.
didn't understand how they'll vote for him and he got 34 convicted felons.
Yes,
I mean, I was stuck on that one. Like you want a prosecutor or you want a felon? Like,
man. They
that's
wanted a
crazy.
felon because they think I mean, Trump. He knows how to speak to these people. In fact, I think he's even talking down to them in a way. Like he might say, they like to be talked to like this. You got to speak their language. This is how they like it, and he might be right about that. Like if you say certain things, use coded language, they don't care about the rest. If you say, I mean, look, we literally watched in Florida. They had a boat parade where somebody in the boat parade, organized by Laura Trump, had Nazi flags on their boat. And they're riding next to another boat where they're saying, get rid of the N words and the Jews out of America. Literally, that's what we had to watch this election cycle. And that person won. The person they voted for won the election.
Wow,
Yep.
it's crazy.
I don't care who you are. As soon as you start using that language about N words and things, even if you're intelligent, if you hear somebody using that language about anybody, you're supposed to know it's not going to turn out for you good either. But
Exactly, exactly.
sooner or later,
That's
they'll be at your door.
why I wasn't a fan of Trump's, because I mean I don't care who he is. I just don't like the fact that how he treat people and talk to people.
Exactly. It's a bad sign of what he thinks ultimately, about just a lot of people, and they talked about this in this election, how talking about Jews is also should be worrisome even to people that are not Jews. But then so many people think, yeah, they run the world. They run the world. So that's real. They run the banking system. They run all of this. So people allow it. Okay, well, you could talk about them like that. Then it comes to Puerto Ricans. It was already a black at our door, because we're not stupid. Black people, we know when somebody's talking about us in a sly way. They don't have to even be direct.
Right.
But this is a candidate that we saw using incendiary comments. The man called a woman who's running for the president. He had people come up on stage one by one and belittle her. One called her a cunt. Other one called her a son of a b. Another one, you see, another one called her a whore just
Yeah.
by implying she has pimps. I mean, what good can come of that?
Somebody in the comments called her a prostitute. A prostitute.
Right.
I think I said behind it. I was like, she's a prosecutor.
I mean, but what good can come of it to a person? A person's got to think and say, well, they could make their arguments totally they can make real arguments about a real record, but they choosing to call her a son of a b, a whore, and a cunt. Excuse my language. But that's what they're choosing to do, and that's okay it's okay to do that.
No.
How is that okay to be a part of any of that? How's that okay? This is dangerous, because now it's set the tone for that is okay. And now he's going to try to roll it back. If you looked at his acceptance speech, Trump, he tried to roll it back. He tried to say, yeah, we need to bring our country together. Okay, but yeah, you should
No,
bring
I
the
heard
country
it.
together.
I didn't want to hear him talk no
But
more.
are you
I'm,
saying you just said those things to win an election and you really didn't mean them? No, he's not saying he didn't. He's not saying he didn't mean what he said about Kamala. He's not saying to those people that called her a cunt or called her a son of a b. He's not saying to them that's regretful. They shouldn't have said it. He never said that. So he's given the green light for people to talk like this. And if a person running for office to be the president of the United States can talk that way, then why should everyone not be able to? That's the ultimate question. How can one do it and someone else be told they can't at the same time? So he's like rewriting a lot of rules that are there to protect the average citizen, ideas that have been there to protect people. Freedom of speech is supposed to be you speaking up to power, truth to power. It's not supposed to be power is talking down to you. That's not why freedom of speech exists. For power to talk down to you, power could always talk down to people. It's the people, everyday people, that didn't have the right to talk back. And when they start using this insinuatory language, it never works out for the everyday person. It never works out that way, you know, because then there's
Right.
always a new word. I mean, come on, you know. The other thing is, you're a sister, right? Check this
Yes.
out. What do you feel about all the women that's apparently more women voted for Trump than they thought?
Yeah, that's I'm confused about that one because I mean, like, it's not about people wanting to have abortions. I mean, there's medical procedures on that risk that you do have one. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm
There's many.
that I had one in 2010. You know what I'm saying? I didn't abort the baby because I wanted to abort the baby. No, I was having a miscarriage in my bathtub, and then everything didn't come out. So I had to go to my doctors had to send me to the hospital to get a procedure done, and that's an abortion. That's one of the abortion procedures that
Right.
they can't do now.
Exactly. It's many
That's
of
not
them, many different ones like that.
everybody don't just want to abort their baby. I used to work at an abortion clinic, some years ago, and it's not that they came into. And actually, I'm gonna tell you something. When I was working there, the people that come in there is a lot of young white people. They put them in black areas where black people live, or put the clinics in black people areas, and they thinking that, a lot of black people for to come in there. No, I took their vitals and I had to pull their underwear up because white people don't wear underwear. That's when I know. That's when I found that out. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's a lot of young white. It's a lot of older white women and young white girls that come up in there.
I mean, I don't understand. I agree with you 100%. It's like medically, they need to, first of all, understand that this is only about women's health rights. It's about their health right. Then part of it is political, but most of it is health. Like you said, health procedures. A smaller percentage of that is some political thing behind it, where let's say they wanted to argue that this person like they said, if a woman gets sexually assaulted and gets pregnant, some states force her to have the child. Is that right?
No, that's not right at
How the
all.
hell can that be right? But they risk it anyway by passing these laws. Then on top of it, how is it that you could be in a country where you have to pay for education, pay for health care? People are fighting right now over fair housing and so many other things, and yet you tell a person if they get pregnant they have to have the child. Well, what about the child care? And you're
Exactly.
trying to villainize women for being what? For being biological beings, for being alive? Well, where does the man get penalized for being a biological being? You
Exactly.
see? So men are not penalized for ejaculating, but a woman is penalized if a man ejaculates in her. That's wild.
Yep.
I mean, I hate to be so graphic with the speech, but that is wild, And so they have to come together with some sort of norm and standard, because there hasn't been one. It keeps switching, going back and forth, and it's unfair to people too to do things that way. A lot of the U.S. politics is just back and forth. A lot of things don't get done in the House, which is why things should get done in the House. Things should go through the Senate. It should be signed by a president, and the Supreme Court should stay the hell out of that.
Yeah.
But since the Supreme Court want to make the Congress ineffective when it wants to, and the Senate ineffective, then now you have an ineffective Congress and ineffective Senate. So it's like, it just makes you wonder, like, when is it? How much is going to happen before things get normalized? But who knows, sister? I mean, where are you located? What state, if you don't mind?
I'm in Michigan.
Okay, you're in Michigan. Okay, and they still waiting for the rest of the votes in Michigan, though, right?
Yep. Yep.
Even
Yep.
though it won't make a difference, they say.
Yeah, I've been looking, I've been checking, but they ain't got all the votes in for Michigan.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's,
you know we in a red state.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But you know what? It could go blue, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that
it
what they
can.
say? It could go blue. I mean, Kamala, I'm happy with the race that she ran. It's
Hmm.
impeccable. She came in late, so she wasn't running as long. And people, I do believe people really had a totally biased scale against her. Like, had first of all these personal attacks she had to go through. Why? How come every time a person who's not a certain color runs for president, all of a sudden who their parents are becomes an issue. Um,
Exactly.
and all of this other stuff, man. Where have people attacked all these other people's family members? I don't see it. Melania Trump, she is an immigrant herself.
Yeah,
Like, and I just, to me, it seems like, wow, what does that even imply?
she can barely speak English.
She could barely get that speech out of her mouth the other night. And I'm not trying to be unfair. I know plenty of people that are not Americans that come from all over the world that speak way better English than that. Never
Hmm.
even been to the US. You see what I mean? I just
Yeah.
got finished speaking to some today for Pakistan. They speak perfect English. This lady couldn't get a word of English out of her mouth. I was like, what? How could she really mean what she was saying? You know?
Yeah. So I wonder how is that going to work with reproduction rights if they're going to take. Um, I think I heard they're going to take condoms away and different contraceptive, like
Man,
birth control method.
yo, if I right now, I think a lot of people are asking the same questions you're asking too, and me too. Like all the new questions are coming out because we don't know where this is going to lead to. It it's really going to be a revolutionary event. Trump being in office, and I don't mean that in a good way. I think it's going to be very troubling times with this guy, and but it is a democracy, and that's one of the ethics of the people of Americans is that they believe in democracy. And so no matter which way the vote goes, a good American would go along with the vote, right?
Yep, but you know what?
Or or is that true? Because see, Trump already showed you that a good American doesn't have to go along with the vote.
Exactly. That's why I was saying they tried to impeach him twice already. So I don't even think he's gonna last too long.
Yeah, I don't. I think I don't know what's going to happen from here on, but I just think it's going to be more trouble for the U.S. And I don't think people expect the type of trouble that they can get because people didn't expect COVID, and that just came out of the blue. So that's the question: anything going to come out of the blue when Trump is the president? We going to get attacked? Are we going to get what's going to happen? That's going to be big. That somebody that's going to make governing difficult for Trump. What's his
Yeah.
challenge going to be? Every president have a challenge. What's Trump's challenge going to be when he's in office? What's the big challenge? You
To
know?
get the immigrants out of here.
Yeah.
What are you worried
Yeah.
about?
I mean, I think Trump. I think if I was an enemy of the U.S., I would be at my most active when Trump is in office. I'll tell you that much. And I think that's a no-brainer. And I think that's what everyone else is expecting. And you know,
Hmm.
so we're gonna see how it goes. What do you think about Biden? You think there's any role Biden can play now that he's the most powerful person on earth?
What I don't think so, only because I will
Okay.
worry about his safety
Right.
because the mega is crazy. But I mean, only thing that I will say to make sure they check the ballots, the election ballots,
Yeah, check the votes. Check them all. And
because
yeah, check
mega
the
they
computers.
wow
Yeah,
they
check the computers. Check everything. Check, and then after you check that, then call the governors and ask them, did they have any more votes? Like
Wow.
Trump did. Isn't that what Trump did? He
Yep.
went and called governors and asked them, can't you find me some more votes? Should Biden do that?
Man. It need to, because my goodness, we screwed.
I mean, is that against the law? What would the Supreme Court think? Is that okay? If he does it in the name of being the president, securing the elections, are you sure there's not 11,000 more votes? It would be a
Right.
shame for the state if there was any crime to start threatening them.
Right. Because ain't no way. It couldn't have been that close. Like she's supposed to won.
I want to see what the lawyers, what the legal world says about Trump as a president. How does that work since he's a felon, convicted felon in a state?
Man.
And how does that also work when he's in other ways, like how can you he how can he govern, when the law has been changed? Like he will be governing in a way that's never been governed before. Like there's never been a time where the general is supposed to do what you say. Like I don't know if this Supreme Court ruling means that, but people fear that Trump will use it to mean that, like impunity as the president, as long as he's making an order as the president, that he can't be tried for that. Right? That's not a crime. And so the question becomes, how does that change the relationship between the generals and the president, or any government agency and the president, any other branch of government? So that's the thing. Are the other branches of government going to fall under the president now, or are they going to stay separate? How is that relationship going to work now that Trump has impunity? That's what everybody's wondering, because it's never been done before.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. I think a lot of questions are going to start rolling out. Matter of fact, let me play this and let me go to one more thing real quick. Hold on.
Or against
Yeah.
our
So we heard Putin. That was Putin. And he's playing it low key. He don't want to. He doesn't want to ravel up anybody over Trump's winning. He want to play it on the low. And but let me see. Let me go to, how about MSNBC. Let me see here. It must be this right here, right? If there's anything else with this. Come on. Okay, they still playing the same thing. The results are pretty much the same. Yeah, the results are the same. Here we go. So they still said there's some more to be counted. I don't know why there's still more states. I guess there's still more votes. There's still more votes. But still the amount of votes that are left are projected to not be enough. But this map, look at how this map looks.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, so there's still some counting going on, but the final
That's
results aren't.
She was the best
But-
thing that we probably was gonna get.
Huh?
I said, let's hope so. Something happened, because she was the best thing that we was probably gonna get.
Yep. Yeah, let's see. But yeah, we have to see. There's going to be a whole lot of let's see, because I don't think anybody expected this, and I don't think they even know how things are supposed to happen. It's going to be a big some big legal discussions coming up about
Yeah, 'cause
how much
I don't,
power
I don't,
Trump
I didn't
really
expect
will
this
have.
either.
Huh?
I didn't expect this either. And then when he keeps saying that it's rigged, I mean, how you know?
Yes, he said it was rigged. He said even this election
He
was
said,
rigged. That's crazy, right? He said every
yeah,
election that is in, he called that it was rigged, even this one. And that's where I started at. And that's what I want to ask you. If you believe, if you voted for Trump and Trump said every election was rigged and he said this election was rigged, then do you believe that this election was rigged or not?
yes, I do.
You know?
I think that.
And but a person that voted for Trump, that's who I want to hear from. Do they think the election was rigged? Because Trump said it was rigged. So, I mean, I think that in itself kind of is very strange that a person says every time the election is rigged. Don't you think that's really weird?
Yeah.
To me, I think that's really, really weird. I don't get that. That's
Hmm.
something very strange, I think. I mean, me personally, that's how I think. Like, why does he? I mean, is that a coincidence that every
Yeah.
single election he says is rigged? Okay, so are we
I
supposed to
follow this.
believe him?
I follow this guy on TikTok. I mean, not TikTok, but YouTube. His name Anton Daniels, and he a real big Trump fan, and he's African American. Like every time I go into his podcast, I have to click out of him. He have about like 400K followers.
Oh, really?
Like big. His name. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to leave me the handle. What's his handle?
His name is Anton Daniels. I don't have his handle on here.
Okay, Anton Daniels. I get it. Anton Daniels. Okay.
Anton Daniels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I got it. Let me see here.
But he's a real big Trump fan. Like he was just at the Pistons. He live in Detroit. He was just at the
Oh,
Pistons
this
game with
guy. Oh, I know who's.
a
My
red hat.
God, I
But
know exactly who. I know who you're talking
he
about.
might be able
I know who you're
to
talking
say,
about.
why do he think it's red?
Well, yeah, he should. He should. I mean, it would be good to get their. I mean, to get their understanding of that because what does that mean? Like, if the guy won the election and he said it's rigged, do you believe him when he says it's rigged? Like, and what does he mean? Because he said it in each election that it was rigged. So, what does that mean exactly? Like, I think the people who voted for Trump, they should be able to say that. Like, if Trump says the election is rigged, do do you believe him when he says that? Everyone should be able to know that because maybe some people will say, no, I don't believe him when he says the election was rigged, but then you would be like, but did you believe him the last time? you know so it's I find that dynamic in itself very, very strange. Like, because this is the man who called each election rigged himself, yet he's won two of them. I find that to be very, very strange. you
Hmm.
know i I just don't, to me it says that there's some rigging there. It's giving
Yeah.
rigged, if you ask me. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta shut it down now. I gotta go to work tonight, sister. I appreciate you stepping up though, tomorrow. Been a minute too.
Yes. No problem. I'm gonna start
Yeah,
working
it's
too.
been oh, what you say?
I said I'm about to start working too. I was just irritated. I can't
Oh
focus.
man, shit, you ain't the only one. People gonna be irritated for a while. This is gonna be a headache for a lot of people, and we're just gonna see. All I can say is I'm glad. I gotta go, be thankful for what I have, and I just hope things turn out well. Yeah, for the U.S. and everything and everybody there. Trump is not a good person to govern. That's for damn sure. And the U.S. needs good governance. There's going to be a lot of big troubles. As you know, every president has hurricanes and disasters. Everyone's going to have military challenges. Everyone's going to have other ones, maybe even medical things come up. Hey, and the difference between staying together and falling apart is a good manager. So I hope something happens to where some good management can come, even if Trump becomes the president. I hope something, more concrete for the people, some explanation for um, how much power he really will have. Because right now there hasn't been much explanation to the public since the Supreme Court ruling. It's been some small explanations, but since it's never happened before, the real conversation, the big conversation hasn't happened yet. But I think it's about to happen now. What happens if once he is no longer the president elect and is the president? What is going to happen? You know, how much reach does he really have? I think that needs to be discussed before he's the president. People need to know clearly, like what that can look like. And I think maybe this election cycle, they didn't look into that enough because maybe they didn't think he was going to win. But now it's real. Now it's real. Yep. So now it's real. It's on. All right, sis. I appreciate you.
All right. You have a good night.
Yeah, you too. I'll catch up with everybody. I'm gonna be following the news, so I'll be just as depressed as everybody else. But to the Trump supporters, you voted for this, so whatever comes of it, you have to understand it came from your vote, whether it's good or bad, right? And you knew what type of person Trump was. A lot of you all said you cared about the kids, you care about pedophiles, but you elected Trump. You know, a lot of you say you care about the country, your patriots, and all of that stuff. But will Trump sell you out? Will he just stash his pockets, lace his pockets, and his few friends' pockets, and then screw everybody else? Who knows? You know, was the COVID check that you got enough for that to find out? We're gonna find out. It's about to be real now. Um, I'm a U.S. citizen, born and raised, come from the U.S. My family's been there since the colonial period, and but I don't live inside of the U.S. I live outside of the U.S. And where I live, we actually have universal health care, and we have paid education, and we have a lot of things from our taxes that people appreciate here. And the U.S. is the richest country on earth and doesn't have it, and have politicians arguing that they can't afford it, they can't get it, it's not possible, and they even have their students in debt for a lifetime. That's the U.S., the richest country on earth, and they just elected a billionaire to be the president for a second time. As if the math ain't mathing. You don't let a wolf into the hen house. Why would anyone let a billionaire into the presidency in the first place? And now look what happens. You let one billionaire in there, and guess what? That one billionaire changed the whole game. That's what you did. Anybody who's not living a pretty decent life in the US and voted for him, you need to turn around and kick yourself directly in the ass right now, because you are going to feel it. Because no matter what else you think about Trump, no matter what else, the math about letting a billionaire into the presidency, why would anyone do that? Why would any regular person do that? Why would any person, with any brains want a billionaire as president? These are the type of questions we have. Yeah. And all I can say is I'm thankful I live outside of the US because I have universal health care. We have paid education here. We have 5 weeks vacation every year paid from work, leave, right? When we have a child, we have up to a year paid leave from work. Everybody. And the US is the richest country on earth, and they're still trying to figure out what to do with the homeless people, what to do with the middle class and the poor, what to do with the student debt, what to do with health care, what to do with union jobs. We don't need unions. The bill says the billionaire. You don't need unions. I mean, I have a union job. you know, I have a union job, but yeah, that's a whole nother story. So in any case, but I don't live in the US, so Trump's not threatening my union job. Um, but or the rest of it for me. But to my American brothers and sisters, I'm gonna pray for you. I know it's not a laughing matter. And me laughing, I don't mean to laugh in that way. I'm just saying all I can do is laugh for my own sake, like, because this is not fun. This is actually sad to see. It's embarrassing, really. It's embarrassing. And yes, the racism and the misogyny that that party ran on is disgusting. And you are the problem, to yourselves. People that think that way, people that manifest that and have and harbor that much racism and misogyny, they're problematic people. You see, so many people in that country don't even know the history of women in the USA. That's a tragedy. And that's apparent by this vote, even by some of the women. That's a tragedy. That is a tragedy. Um, I don't know what else to say right now, but you know, I wish you all the best. And by the way, the upside is I'm going to continue to follow it, and I'm going to troll Trump, the Trump administration. That's like my new job. So I am going to do Trump like he did Kamala. Every bit of little tactic that he used, that's the same thing I'm going to use. You see what I mean? And because the tone has been the die has been cast, the tone has been changed. The standard has changed with Trump. Uh, and hey, you got to speak up for and fight for what you believe in. Otherwise, you might lose it. So I hope people, Trump doesn't turn out to be as bad as it is. But on another note, last thing I wanted to say is, about 2 years ago in the EU, there was a referendum for a EU military for states to start reinvesting in the EU military. And the referendum passed, I believe, in the country I'm in Denmark, and it passed in many EU states. And that also was a precedent. And one of the reasons why they had that referendum is because they anticipated, because of some of Donald Trump's remarks on Ukraine, they anticipated this day where Donald Trump could become the president again. And so they have started amassing, some military, and the EU itself, the separate states already have their own militaries. But now they're talking about funding a common one too. And that means the EU is going to turn into a weapons maker. Yeah. And they're going to get more active and engaged in the world, because of course they're not going to sit back and play the game like they're forced into anything. Well, they can just split part of the pie. You know what I mean? They can do some of the same activities. And that's what as Russia and China do. You see what I mean? So although Trump is the president of the United States and he might pull back his military, the EU is not waiting for that. So this is also a historic moment for Germany because Germany had been restricted for many years from having a military. Yeah, after World War II. That's a penalty they paid. But slowly they've been getting back into making weapons at first, but not having a standing military. But because of this decision with Trump, that might change that. And they might, get this backing to start doing their military again, and that will make Germany a big military power again. Yes, it would. And so things are going to be reconfiguring, but the EU also have its own contingency plan, and you know their view of it right now is that they already planned for the U.S. backing out of engagement on the Ukraine, so their contingency plan is to step up. So we're going to see what happens with that, and but again, even just selling weapons is an industry. And yeah, so we just keep that in mind. Hopefully, hopefully, whatever changes come, things will be for the better. And also that whatever happens is for a reason that people can use to learn from and come out stronger with. So if it takes 4 years of Trump to do that, then so be it. At least he can't be president again. JD Vance could be president, but hey, right? We'll see. But for now, I'm out, y'all. Peace to everybody. Yes, let me see. Oh, you so welcome. You so welcome. What's the word? Yeah, you so welcome. Thank you also for hopping up. Indeed. I look forward to being back. I'll be back this weekend, y'all. So, or I could be back tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? I shouldn't say anything the way the news is running, but I will be back. So yeah. So until then, be blessed, and I'll see you.